Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Well, I've been on the spiritual path for a long time, but in recent years I've become more aware of the self-critical voice in my head, which I relate to my older sister who was very critical of me. And for 20 years I lived with a man who gave me unconditional love, which sort of shielded me from that part of myself. But since he died of cancer, I've become much more aware of that negative voice that attacks me for minor mistakes as well as major ones from the past. And so I'd like to, just have, of course heard some of the things you've said before, but I'd like to just be able to have compassion and forgiveness for myself as well as for others. I seem to have an easier time forgiving other people than myself.
Well, it's really just the more you chant, the more that time you spend being aware of the stories you tell yourself and letting go of them again and again. Just not pushing them away or reacting, but just letting go, coming back to the chanting again and again. That's creating a new way of dealing with that karma, of that programming that's been put into you before. There's no quick answers, we all do that. That makes you a human being, period. And it's just a question of doing some regular practice every day where you sit down and you just try to calm down and relax and notice how that stuff keeps coming up, and then just noticing it is different than being caught in it. When you notice it, it's actually already going. But of course it comes right back. So you notice that too. And the more you bring yourself back, the less energy you give to those things. But we've spent a whole lifetime developing those miserable programs, so it's not like it's going to change overnight. But just getting back in the game and just, allowing yourself to see it, and then you see your own reactions to it, you see your aversions to it, you see you want to push it away, you don't want to remember it, you don't want to think about your sister, and all that stuff. You just keep coming back again and again. And then the other thing to do would be to do some loving kindness practice.
I do some of that, yeah.
That's good. And I would do that regularly too as part of your everyday practice, where you first repeat those phrases, and wish yourself well. And then you bring to mind your sister, who's been a very difficult person for you, and you wish them well. And you see how that feels, I remember when I first started doing the loving kindness practice, I brought the difficult person to mind. I said, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you live at ease, you miserable shit, so you leave me alone. And I repeated that for a couple of days, and I felt very good,
Yeah.
So it was not quite the point, but it was a good step for me, because I began to see that person was only coming out of their own pain. Even though I thought it was aimed at me, I saw it that way. It wasn't. It was their own pain exploding in any direction. And that pain was causing them suffering too, and suffering for other people also. So, but while we feel that we are victims of those actions of other people, it's very hard to forgive, it's very hard to let go. So, part of these practices to recognize how we see ourselves a little bit too, that we really do still see ourselves as victimized by these nasty people. And that's something that we have to get over with. That's sooner or later, because that's not expressing loving kindness to ourselves, to support feeling like a victim. It may look like we are victimized, we may feel like we are victimized, but think of the people that we might have hurt based on our own misunderstandings and our own issues, and we didn't really mean to hurt them necessarily, but they were hurt because we were incapable of acting in a good way at that time. So it's just a question of little by little, just relaxing, taking it easy, enjoying life a little bit, and being aware of how caught we get, and then letting it go. Caught, letting it go. Chanting out loud is a good thing, because it's easy to float away inside our thoughts, if we're quietly trying to meditate. So just chanting, it doesn't have to be singing necessarily, it can just be chanting, droning, but it involves the hearing, which is also listening and also awareness, rather than just thinking and remembering inside. That helps us stay a little bit more centered. And you can mix it with your breath, when you go in and out. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, or Hare Krishna, whatever you want to do, whatever. Keep it with your breath, you listening, you're breathing, you're remembering. Short periods, not too long. None of us are really qualified to sit down on our asses for 20 years. 5 minutes is a long time for us to really still be there. So,
I mean, many times I'll sit in the morning for 15 or 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do something. If you have the time, do something in the afternoon too. When you're having a cup of tea. You can drink the tea and you can just also do some chanting. It's a way of reminding yourself again and again what's going on inside your head and helping you remember to let go. Yeah.
Sounds good. As far as my sister, sometimes I just say to myself, go have a cup of tea, which was suggested. Mm-hmm. I think it's some retreat by maybe Sharon Salzberg, to tell the person that's in your head, go have a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's more like, a 4-letter word, get out of here. But
unfortunately, they're in there. There's nowhere for them to go. It's just for us to let go of them.
Yeah.
Let go of that feeling of being victimized by them. It's a lifelong process. It's part of our karmic situation, and the only way we can change it is by lightening up the reactivity that we have to it, which takes practice and time, and intention also.
I will keep
Good.
doing it.
Okay.
Namaste.
Thank you. astu rudra-rupe-bhyah. Tatparukaya vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimmahi Tanno Rudra Prachodhaya. Tatparukaya vidmahe Vayuputraya Dhimmahi Tanno Hanumat Prachodhaya. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachitanandamurtaya Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Vishnu
Hi, KD.
Hi, how are
Thank
you?
you so much for speaking with me today. My question is about the time after your Maharaji dropped his body and some of the despair that you went through after that. I've also suffered a very profound loss in my life, and sometimes it seems like more than I can even bear, even though it was almost 20 years ago. So while I wait for a great sign like the one you got in Kainchi, one doesn't seem to have come, and I'm not really sure that it will come. So I just wondered if you could share any lessons or practices that could connect me more deeply to my loved one and perhaps bring me a little bit closer to peaceful life without her.
Was your loved one like a spiritual guide of some kind, or
It was my mom.
Your mom,
But
okay.
I'm an only child, and we were very, very close.
I see. Well, love never dies. Bodies come and go. I still think about my dad a lot, and I feel his presence. His body's been gone, but the love is still there, and I can feel it. I don't get the body, but I get the love. So, and that's not mystical, because you feel the love, but you have to allow yourself to feel that. And I think there's a lot of cultural programming about loss and grief, and that kind of reinforces feeling bad about things like that, as if no one ever dies, right? Of course, everybody dies. You, me, everybody's gonna go. But that doesn't mean the love dies. The love doesn't die. Love is always there, and the love is the karma between people is why we were together in the first place physically. A chance to work on that relationship and deepen that relationship and have that relationship affect us in many, many different kinds of ways. So I think, the anger, the grief, the feeling of betrayal by being left by someone or by that situation, all that stuff conspires to convince us that we don't have to open our hearts, that we don't have to let ourselves feel. You do have to let yourself feel. And yes, that also means feeling the grief more and opening to the unhappiness. In order to allow the love to come through, we have to kind of open up and allow ourselves to feel all of it. We can't just go through our days, with it pushing us around and pretending that we're not to ourselves, that, that it doesn't always have to be that way. But you do have to kind of allow it all to arise. You have to widen your heart, open your heart to allow it, feel all of it, feel the loss, really feel the loss, not just notice it and say, well, everybody dies, or this and that, but really feel the unhappiness, because that's where the love is too. It's inside that. It's not, you have to accept things the way they are, which means what actually happened, but you're still here, and the experiences you shared with your mother are still here. They'll always be with you. So, and of course with family, there's all kinds of stuff mixed up. There's happiness and unhappiness and, healthy things and things that weren't so pleasant. But when you start remembering, you remember all that. I remember things that my father did that were very selfish and very hurtful to me. But even so, the love surrounds all that, You just kind of have to allow yourself to feel. And then that love can nurture you also, right now, even though the person's body is gone. That love can nurture you right now. It's not fantasy, and it's not some kind of emotional manipulation. It's really true. As you let yourself feel, you'll feel all kinds of things, but you'll also feel that the love is right here where you are. And you can let yourself feel that. Although the culture doesn't teach us that, the culture doesn't deal with death. Everybody around here lives as if nobody's going to ever die. And we just got to keep getting more stuff and getting nicer skin and better hair and all this stuff. For what? You know?
I guess that's part of the thing. It's that outwardly it looks like I have so much, and people say you're so lucky and everything's so wonderful, and people in the world have so much less than you. But inside, I still feel very empty and robbed, you know, just robbed of her.
Yeah.
And I spend all my time pushing it down. And I
be.
feel like if I let it come up, that it's going to swallow me.
10 to 1 it doesn't. It won't, guaranteed. It may feel like that, which is why you push it down. But that's called fear. It's just another emotion. But that fear is preventing you from feeling what you really want to feel. So it takes a little courage to go, to allow all that stuff to come up. It could be very emotional for you. There might be a lot of tears. It might not be. You might get a little depressed for a while, so what? But that's inside of all that is the love is right there. And if you're pushing down all those feelings, you're also not letting the love come. So you really don't want to be doing that to yourself. So that's up to you. It's just a way of, just slowly changing the way you think about it. Because when you think of someone, they're there. It's the presence you feel. Even their absence is their presence. In other words, they're not here. How do you know? Because you're thinking of them, so they're here. It's a funny thing, but we're not trained to recognize it that way. Somebody's gone. Oh, they're gone. They're so gone. But here we are. We're filling ourselves with thoughts of them. Now, at that moment, we're reacting by closing down instead of, here you are. But that's because we've trained ourselves that way. Let it all open up. Get drunk, cry, be crazy. It's okay. Let it come up. Let it come up. Let it come up until it's just running through you again. Then you'll see what else you have to deal with in relation to your mother and you. Maybe there's other things in there that you don't want to remember. Maybe there's stuff that isn't so happy. So you really, you're keeping it all down. But it's got to come up because you're starving yourself. And only you can feed yourself this. This is for you. But the love is always here. It's nowhere else. It's always here. And it's not historical. It's inside of us. Again, I did it again. I'm not supposed to hit my microphone. But I'm brain dead, so every time I do it, what am I going to do? But yeah, that's the deal. So give yourself some space, relax a little bit, take it easy. Don't be hard on yourself that you miss your mom, don't be hard on yourself. Just relax, take it easy, and enjoy what you can enjoy. Have gratitude for what you have and the fact that you can do this. You can do this, and you will. So just think about it a little bit, and just be gentle with yourself. And talk to your mother. Talk. Yeah, the body's not there, but she didn't go anywhere. Yeah, maybe she's reincarnated. We don't know anything about that. That's all fantasy. So talk to her. Talk to her. Tell her you love her. Start that flow of feeling again that you're crushing down because you're afraid of the hurt. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Jaya Jaya Girivara Raja Kishore Jaya Mahesh Mukachanda Chakori Jaya Gajabardhan Karanana Mata Jagata Janani Dami Duti Gata Hey Mata Durga Hey Mata Durga Hey Mata Durga Mata Mata Hey Mata Durga Nahi tava adi madhya avasana Amrita prabha bedu nahi jana Bhava bhava bhiva parabhava karini Visvabhimohani Swabhasa Viharani Hey Mata Durga Hey Mata Durga Hey Mata Durga Mata Mata Hey Mata Durga Sevatatohi Sulabha Palachari Paradayani Tripurari Piyari Devi Pujipada Kamala Tumhari Suranaramu Sabaho Sukari Hey Mata Durga Hey Mata Durga Hey Mata Durga Mata Mata Hey Mata Durga Mono Manorata Janahunike Basahu Sada Surapura Sabahike Kinahe Pragat Nakaran Tehi Asakahi Charan Gahe Videhi Hey Mata Durga Hey हे माता विनय प्रेम बसबाही भवानी खसीमा मूर्ति मुस्कानी साधारण सियन प्रसादु सिर धरे बलि गाए हर्ष अन्न बले हे माता दुर्गा हे माता दुर्गा हे माता 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 हे माता दुर्गा सुनु से शक्ति आशीष हमारी पूजी मन कामना तुम्हारी नारद भजन सदा सूची साचा सोबरु मिलहि चाहि मनुराचा